Hope your night or day is going well, whichever it might be. I watched The Prophet tonight, an animated movie on YouTube by Kahlil Gibran, the author of the book The Poet. It was a movie from 2015 with Liam Neeson as the one of the main characters. It was actually really good, and if you like the book The Prophet, I would recommend it. It's not perfect, and it's not an exact telling of the entire book The Prophet, but it's still a good film, and it's short, so you're not in there for 3 hours. So I actually have a copy of Kahlil Gibran's work, which I would highly recommend. Great writer, fantastic artist. So a piece of The Prophet that I found, which is not in the movie itself, but is a topic near and dear to me. I think he wrote very eloquently on it. And just to get straight to the point here, in the book The Prophet, there are scenes that occur, and then there are also points where people basically ask the prophet to comment on a given topic, because the prophet obviously speaks in very, perennial wisdom that goes throughout time. So I'll read you one, and then I'll just quickly talk about it because I'm trying to keep these videos at a certain time. Then said a teacher, "Speak to us of teaching." And he said, the prophet, "No man can reveal to you aught but that which already lies half asleep in the dawning of your knowledge. The teacher who walks in the shadow of the temple among his followers gives not of his wisdom, but rather of his faith and his lovingness. If he is indeed wise, he does not bid you enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your own mind. The astronomer may speak to you of his understanding of space, but he cannot give you his understanding. The musician may sing to you of the rhythm which is in all space, but he cannot give you the ear which arrests the rhythm, nor the voice that echoes it. And he who is versed in the science of numbers can tell of the regions of weight and measure, but he cannot conduct you thither," which means forward. For the vision of one man lends not its wings to another man. And even as each of one of you stands alone in God's knowledge, so must each one of you be alone in his knowledge of God and in his understanding of the earth. It's really powerful. And it echoes what Socrates said 2,500 years or so before Gibran. I can tell you about how I heard Beauty in the Wind. I can tell you about the peace I found when I go listen to the ocean waves. But you have to experience it for yourself. That's why the good teacher, or rather the great one, doesn't just show off how smart they are. They help you realize the intelligence also, the knowledge, the gathered experience, and the possibility of experiential action. That power also lies within you. And no, you don't need to go do heroin to know it's bad for you. But more along the lines, you have to go learn some of the lessons in life, or maybe most or all of them, near all of them, for yourself. A person who has budget problems and truly experiences, that stress of budgeting for food, at some point appreciates what they have. And that's not to condone suffering, because people want out of that. And we should all be willing to help each other as much as we can. Maybe a better example is, it's self-evident that a person doesn't truly, I think at times, appreciate their cell phone until they actually have to pay for it. Even if you're on a family plan, until someone actually makes you pay for the phone. But that's not the extent of the education, and I'm trying to watch the time right now. That's not the extent of the education. The lessons that are there, I'm learning one right now with death. And breathing in that kind of change. Is really hard some days. Because if anything, you realize the impermanence of this form. But actually, and I won't read it right now, but Mr. Gibran has another poem in The Prophet on death. And I didn't want to make this recording just about death, but if you wanted to read what is, I think, another close to masterpiece, Kahlil Gibran on death, go look it up. It's very peaceful. The knowledge is accessible to you. You just have to want to go learn it. And like Papa G said, who's a speaker you could see on YouTube who has some really great wisdom, you came into this world alone and you got to leave it alone. But again, the knowledge you go seek, the experience you go seek, being good to others and yourself and to the earth, that intertwinedness, if that's a word. It's waiting for you. I can describe it to you. But you've got to hear the song for yourself. Like a song of self-belief that you are capable of great things. You have to hear it and actually feel it for yourself. Be well. Always.